You're sharing wisdom every time you play with your horse. They're sharing it with you, and you're sharing it with them. This takes a special kind of awareness, way beyond just training. In 26 years of teaching, I've learned this is my dream, to help students connect with wisdom. This is available to all of us. Join Brigid Pajunen, your host. She's mentoring here at Solstice Ranch, and she's going to connect with students from around the U.S. and share their journey, their experiences, and their learnings, their deep wisdom from their journey with their horse. I'm Amy Brimhall McCord, founder of Inspirational Horse. Enjoy.
Well, hello, Tracy.
Hello, Brigid.
Yes, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for being willing to
It's a
participate.
pleasure to meet you too.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit
I'm
about...
absolutely thrilled.
Good. Oh, good. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what your relationship with horses is?
Oh, goodness. Okay. I'm 57, so I grew up with horses in a riding stable. I then joined the military and we moved to England and I became a British Horse Society instructor. That is where I rescued my very first horse. She led me on a path to that's all I've done for the past 30 years is rescue extremely challenging horses. And it's all because of her. It all started with her. And then I had another one that got me into natural horsemanship following that thoroughbred. I actually had to euthanize her, but following that thoroughbred, when we came to California, I didn't even want to have horses anymore because that broke my heart so much. And I ended up with a horse 6 weeks later after we arrived in California that nobody could touch or get near. I've never had a horse come into my life that I could even touch. They were all just really challenging. And he led me on a path to becoming a body worker. So I do it all. I have 5 right now. I should only have 4, but 4 is my limit, but I have 5. So there we are.
What was the name of that mare?
Siberian Steppe. She's actually right behind me.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes. And I do believe that she brought me to Makatak, who is the Arabian that changed my life, changed my way of thinking about horses. And the two of them have just really altered my life path. Yes.
Well, that leads us into our first question, really, which is the life lessons that horses have taught you. I'd love to hear more about how Mac Attack changed you and why.
I think Siberian Steppes, because she had been so abused by so many people in a country, in a British Horse Society approved facility. And nobody ever tried to figure it out. Nobody ever tried to figure out why she was acting the way that she did. And she taught me to do that. And she taught me that riding isn't always the most important thing. She imparted so much empathy and compassion in me. And I do believe she sent me to Mac. They were both neurologic, actually, which is pretty odd to have 2 neurologic horses in a row. And Mac, he taught me so much. He was so confident in being a horse, not very confident in the human world at all. But he taught me so much. Everything with him, for so many years was so challenging. Every single thing I did with him was challenging. And I learned to listen from him. And I also learned, gosh, how much a horse can give back to you when you actually listen to what they say. That horse, from the moment I sat on his back, I had to start him bareback because he was scared to death of saddles. The minute I sat on his back, I could feel him say, "I've got you." There was so much trust in that relationship. And he just taught me so much. And I mean, this is gonna, I don't want to bash anybody. I love the British Horse Society. I love what they teach everybody. It's important what they do. But I am not that person anymore. I am not a get on and ride. I used to ride anything. I could ride anything. I didn't care what the horse thought. It was all about doing what you had to do. And I am so not that person anymore. Not even close.
Mm.
So the two of them together, they're still together. They started me on this path and allowed me to help so many horses in my work and in my very own herd. They're my life.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I might cry. Don't worry
Oh
if I
yeah.
cry. I do
Well,
it all the time.
I might also. So I might also. I am on my own small journey with one horse. I am humbled every day at how much she actually is trying to tell me, and how little
Yes.
capacity I have had to hear it. And so it is very profound. I agree with you. It is quite the experience to really realize what who these horses are.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to hear, is there any, with either one of those horses, would you be willing to share like particular memories about trying to do something? I love the image of you getting on Mac Attack and having him just say, "Hey, I got you." But anything leading up to that point, you said nothing was easy. What, can you give an example?
Nothing was easy. I couldn't even, when I first got him, I couldn't even open my jacket, unbutton my shirt without him being afraid. I mean, he was only 4 years old and he was on his way to the slaughterhouse. I had no idea how to deal with that. None. I mean, so I started with Pirelli and I stayed with Pirelli for a long time. And actually, Mac was at the Pirelli Ranch with me once, but he was also in a difficult horse course.
Mhm.
They used him to teach instructors how to deal with challenging horses. They called it difficult at the time, but I don't like that word. And so everything from deworming, picking up his feet, even being able to catch him, feeding him, every single thing that you do with a horse on a daily basis that most people just take for granted,
Mhm.
challenging. Even years into our relationship, when I finally, I think it was probably 7 or 8 years into our relationship when I decided that I was going to go ahead and try to use a bridle again instead of a rope halter. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, he was a big 1,200-pound Arabian, and he was determined on teaching me, and he made everything difficult for a reason.
Mm.
You know, not to make things difficult, but to teach me. And I really believe in my heart that he set me up for his plan of the horse collective,
Mhm.
because I never had an issue with any of those things with any horse since then.
Oh,
Never, you know. And I mean, this was a horse I could ride for 2 hours and I'd head back to the barn and he wouldn't want to go back to the barn. He would literally tell me, you know, can we ride a little longer? I've never had that in my life.
Mm.
He was very special and a master teacher, master teacher, incredible animal. I just lost him in 2021.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He's good. He's good. He served his purpose. He did the job. He went peacefully, but surrounded by his family and his herd. And it was actually quite beautiful the way he went, just like him. Yeah.
In your time with the British Horse Society, and then since, is the British horse, but it must be both men and women in the British Horse Society, all comers. I think of it as somehow for some reason I think it's being male dominated, but that's, I'm sure, old ideas that I have about things that are called society. No.
Yeah. I think this was back in, I left England in 1999.
Okay.
All the people in my class were women.
Okay.
But today it's probably different.
So can you tell me a little bit more? Is it like our pony club?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot like our pony club.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. Do you think that in your experience with those first two challenging horses, that it made a difference that you were a woman? And if not, fine. If so, why or how? Is there something about the way you see the world that you think made a difference to those horses or to your horsemanship now?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I would say yes. I think naturally women are more empathetic. And although that being said, I also had an ego when I was a British Horse Society instructor. I mean, if I was going to get on a horse, I had to show my students, so I think that changed for me with that horse. I was so in love with her. And she just had such a hard time with her prior life. But I will also say my husband is very empathetic and compassionate and nurturing with horses. He's maybe actually, don't tell him I said this. He's probably going to watch this, but he's pretty darn sensitive when it comes to horses. In general, I do not see that with most men, the majority. But I also have some clients that are the same. I kind of like to think that maybe I had something to do with that, but you know.
Right. So you do all sorts of things. You ride and do groundwork and all sorts of things with horses. Is that true?
It is true. Mac was diagnosed in 2013 with a neurologic disorder. So I honestly have not ridden much since then. We got a new horse in 2014 that we went out to rescue a horse so that I would have a horse to ride. I have a little Arabian who has DSLD/ESPA. So those were my two horses. My husband had two Belgians, brother and sister. And he insisted that I needed a horse to ride. But when we went to find a horse, we actually found a very dangerous horse that had been severely abused, used in what they call, and I'm not a Western person, but I do live in California, and they call them charros here, where they teach the horses to dance, but not in a humane way. and he fought back, and they abused him more. And he looked like he was 30 years old when I first looked at him, and I actually walked away and went to look at another horse, and my husband said, why don't you go back and look at that Arabian? And I was like, why? But then I decided, well, if I'm going to go look at him, I'm going to put a halter on him. So I put a halter on him, and he stood straight up in the air and started striking at me, and then down on the ground and started this dancing, flying. I've never seen anything like it. And so I said to my husband, this horse is going to kill somebody. He's going to kill somebody, and they're going to kill him. So I ended up with Cadet, and Cadet is how I found Amy. Because I reached a challenge that I had. I don't want to discredit myself. I've done a lot of work with him prior to Amy, but riding was out of the question. I had ridden him, and I thought, I don't want to die. This is insane. What am I doing? So I stopped riding him, and then I was just going to let him live in our herd and feel safe for the rest of his life. I don't give up on horses, and I don't give them away. I don't find new homes. They are our family, and I mean that with all of my heart. But 2017 is when I went to meet Shelly, our clinic coordinator, I was buying something from her. I knew her prior. And she started talking about Amy, and I was like, well, I know Amy. I've seen Amy. I've, been to the Colorado many, many times. And I honestly thought she was still a Pirelli instructor. So I was like, I've done that. I don't want to do it anymore. And she said, well, just come and watch. You can be a volunteer. And my husband was like, see, I knew there was hope for you. And I went. She just totally and completely blew my mind. I mean, I'm an energy healer, I'm a Reiki master, but the way Amy combines everything, I don't know another phrase other than she blew my mind. I mean, that day or that week, maybe, she actually called me Pegasus because I was so excited. She thought I was going to fly away like Pegasus. Seriously. I mean, I had no idea. I had no idea. I was blown away. And I haven't missed an Amy clinic since. So just amazing.
What were some take homes for you in that first introduction to her? Are there things you can remember that blew your mind? What were they?
Yes. Well, I audited for 3 years before I ever brought Cadet. So some of the things were, the first thing that stood out to me was, you don't have to participate in that behavior. Because every time I would take Cadet out, he's very sensitive to energy, as am I, and I'm not in a barn that's conducive to calm. We'll just say that. So every time I would take him out, he would be afraid, or he'd just go back to his old behavior. And of course I would try to fix it. I would go, oh, calm down, or, oh, it's okay. Or, oh, he was my baby. I babied him. I loved him. I kept bringing up his past and all of these crazy things. And Amy just said that one line, and I was like, oh, I don't have to participate in that behavior. Like, what would a lead horse do? A lead horse is not going to look back and say, oh, let me help you with your fear. The lead horse is going to say, you better get up here. You're going to be eaten by the mountain lion, right? And within one time of me changing that tiny little, I mean, it really wasn't tiny to me, it was huge, but one line of words, you don't have to participate in that behavior, changed our whole relationship immediately. Amazing. Wish I thought of it myself.
So appreciate that, because here I am going through so many unlearning and relearning things. Like that story reminds me of the whole idea that you match the energy and then you raise it. Like, oh my gosh, I've tried that so many times and I just get more and more chaos. I'm like, well,
Exactly.
that is not what I'm after. So
No, and that's what I was doing too.
yeah,
That's what I was doing too. And you don't want to set an adrenalized horse off on another
right,
adrenaline high. You
right.
just don't want to do that.
No, I totally
You know?
agree. That's really fascinating. I've been kind of in love with that lesson myself. And the phrase, not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm here, I'm the ringmaster. I'm here for you when you're ready, but you so
Yes, exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you uh, do you think of horsemanship as an art by any chance? Or I know, I mean, there's so many, to me in the US horse world, there are a lot of things that seem sport-like to me that people do with horses, but maybe I don't see quite as much art of horsemanship. But I don't even know what I mean by that. I'm wondering if that sets off any thoughts for you.
The art of horsemanship is exactly what we are doing. Do I see it in my daily life? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. To me, the art of horsemanship involves the horse.
Mhm.
You can't have art in horsemanship without a partnership between the human and the horse. I see, in my in my normal world, there are a few. I have a tight group of people that I associate with, clients as well as friends, and I refuse to associate with those people anymore. I just can't.
Mm.
I can't do it. I can't watch it. I can't hear about it. Um, so to me, that's exactly what I think the art of horsemanship is the human and the horse creating art. And you can't do that with force. There
Mhm.
is no force in art,
Mhm. Yes.
right? So
Yes.
that's how
Yeah. That's
but
I
I do. I don't I used to try to convince people and teach people. I can't do that anymore unless they're already like in my body work. Those clients, I really I try to pass this knowledge on to them, but most of them, I would say 99% of my clients are already on that same page or learning.
Mm.
And the only person that I recommend they listen to is Amy. And every single one of my clients, if I'm like, just come and audit, just come and watch, because there's no one like her. And that's another thing. I was stuck with Cadet. Like I said, I was just going to leave him in my, not leave him, but I mean, I see him every day, twice a day. But I didn't plan on really doing anything with him, you know? And I just totally lost my point. Oh, so I tell them that there is nobody else for me. There is nobody else for me besides Amy. I quit looking. I got Cadet in 2014, found Amy in 2017. I knew there was nobody else in the world that I could feel aligned with their methods and their teachings and their heart, right? So yeah, there's nobody else for me.
Wonderful.
Just isn't.
Mhm. That's really wonderful. I've been sometimes teasing her lately when she'll say something, and I'll just have to say, "Oh, there you go again, always putting the horse first." It's like she surprises me all the time. I'm like, "Oh, that's right. Think about it from the horse's perspective. Think about what I mean, I can't, and that simple phrase does not do it justice the way she has um over the years really understood. I mean, she's their spokesperson around here, so I really appreciate that. I try my best, but
Yes.
I don't have that ability. I'm learning. Um, do you have specific dreams or goals with the horses that you have now, or does that even fit into the way you live your life?
Uh, my first reaction is no. But then if I really seriously consider the question, of course I do. If I didn't, I wouldn't be learning with Amy.
Mm.
I wouldn't continue to learn. And I love learning. I am a knowledge junkie. I I love that the universe has aligned and given me so many different horses with different issues and personalities to learn from. Um, Specific goals. I just want to get better for them. I think that would be my only goal. I love riding. I don't have the same confidence I did 10 years ago when I was consistently riding, um, especially with a horse like Cadet. But I've sat on him, sort of rode around a little bit, I think 3 or 4 times with Amy. Um, so I guess that's my goal. If I'm to ride, which I would be okay if I didn't actually. I would. I'd be okay if I didn't. But deep in my heart I want to, and deep in my heart I want to ride Cadet because he is the biggest challenge of my life, and when I get a challenge, I take it on. Um I always have and I always will. I don't, or I hadn't been practicing at home because I don't want to mess him up. I don't want to, and I said this to Amy. I've seen other students ride, but I'm not really sure. I'm not 100% sure what I'm supposed to do anymore with Amy's teachings, right? I don't know the riding portion well enough.
Mhm.
So I don't want to get into that old, oh, I'm scared I'm going to grab the reins, especially on a horse like Cadet, because that is not going to help him. And I don't want to set him back. And I don't want to say that I don't want to make mistakes because I know I'm going to make mistakes. And I know he's going to forgive me because he's the coolest dude, really. I mean, he's a really cool dude. I love him. Um, so yes, I would love to be able to ride, to learn to ride Cadet in a safe, compassionate, empathetic, yet still I'm the leader kind of way.
Mhm.
Like I need to be confident enough for him when he is scared. And sometimes that scares me,
Mhm.
like am I up to that standard? I'm not sure. I mean, I've seen that horse fly around pretty darn fast. But I know our connection, and our connection is huge, and he's worth it and I'm worth it. And I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there. So yeah, I guess I do have goals.
Fabulous. That's that's fabulous. Does
Yeah.
as you right now, if as you work toward those goals, what does the typical time that you spend with Cadet look like?
What does the, oh gosh. Well, it's been a while because I've been really sick for the past
So sorry.
year. No, it's all right. I'm better now, but now we're in the middle of everything's flooded. So
Oh,
we can't really do anything. But he has turned into my number one priority. Once Mac passed away, I mean, Cadet was always even when Mac was alive, I had to get Cadet out because if you don't get Cadet out every day, he drives the other horses insane. So, and none of the other horses really like him. They're like, oh my gosh, this horse that he loves to be in his body and he loves to move and he's doing high ho silver. And they're just like, uh, so, yes. So I do have to play with him every day. Not every day, but 5. And I'll just say he's my priority. When I'm playing with horses, he's the first one I get out. And that is what we do. We work on our teachings from Amy, and I work on me while he's with me. And that, I mean, that's the most powerful thing that I've learned. He I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, but he hasn't really changed. He's still the same horse that he was when I first got him. It's me that has changed. So by listening to Amy and learning from Amy and finding that all this energy healing teaching that I have, oh, well, guess what? You can use that with horses. You can ground anytime you want to. You can be in quiet space anytime you want to. And who knew that that actually helps the horses? It actually works. I mean, she's never said one thing to me that didn't work or didn't make sense to me. Everything was like being hit in the head going, oh my gosh, like again, why didn't I think of that? So that's what we do with Cadet. But if he sits for a while, he turns into a monster. I'll just say that. Like it needs maybe 10 minutes to even get him out of the gate and down to arena. It's but it's fun. I love it. That's what I do. So, and I love him. He's incredible. Yeah.
In the way you talked a little bit about grounding yourself, or when you've changed more than the horse has changed. Can you talk a little bit more about that change? In what way? Or is it a change that is always with you, or you mean you've changed when you're with the horse? Or
It's always with me. It's always with me because that's my career. That's my job. And I do it. I mean, I do it when I'm doing body work, or I mean, I've always done that. I never thought of the moment where, say, we're in the arena and a couple horses go past and Cadet has a blow up or whatever. I never thought of just going, I'm going to ground and I don't have to pay attention to that behavior. I don't have to participate in that. I never ever thought of that. And it's super powerful because with all horses, let me say that as a caveat, but especially with horses that are like Cadet, that are highly adrenalized, highly sensitive, abused, sensitive to their environments. It's so powerful. And I saw that immediately, like everything with Amy, I saw changes immediately. But did he really change? I don't think so. I think he just, well, mentally, I think he just said, oh my gosh, my human is so calm. My human that I've spent 8 years with all of a sudden isn't rushing over to me trying to get me to calm down. She's calming herself down. and that's contagious.
Yes, it is. Mhm.
Right? So
It is.
I hope I explained that.
I think you did. It's one of the things here that I think is hardest to talk about. What is exactly going on that makes the difference? And I keep coming back to the fact that it's really a conversation, and it's what's happening between the two, not to one of them or to the other one. It's the nature of the conversation. And
Exactly.
so powerful, and what we offer, and how we respond to what they offer, really, it really has great power and great meaning to them.
I think
If you,
also, oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I think either a year ago or it possibly was 2 years ago, I, for the first time, as we were talking about goals earlier, I take a lot of notes when I'm with Amy because when I write something down, it stays in my brain better. So I just pretty much write down everything that she says. And as I was reading over her notes, I decided I was going to set some goals. And I put number one, leave cadets past in the past. Number two, work on my lead qualities. Number three, be the same at home as I am when I'm with Amy.
Mm.
And those three things, and the process of writing it down and really setting goals really, really helped me because I was continuously, that empathy can put you in the wrong place sometimes. And that's what I did with Cadet. I felt so bad for him. And I told his story to everybody. Oh, he was this and he was that, and he blah, da, 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 and I just went on and on and on. And you do that, and it turns into, that's how you see your horse. I had to learn to see him as his own man. He's his own man, and like I said before, he's a super cool dude. He's energetic, he's beautiful, super sensitive. The connectivity is unreal with this horse. I mean, it's unreal to me anyway. So all of that goes into the same sort of grounding, because you can't ground when your brain is, what am I going to do with this horse? He's over here, he's over there, he's freaking out, I don't know what to do. And the permission from Amy to just step away and say, you know what, here we are, the two of us. Well, guess what, I'm important too. And the way I feel it's important, and I can't help you or lead you if I'm in my head thinking about, oh, what's he going to spook at next? What's he going to, So just her allowing me, all of us, to have the permission to step away. It doesn't hurt anything. Who knew?
Tracy, I think that is so powerful. I hear you. I am picking up what you're putting down. I mean, to me, it goes a little bit back to what it means for me, how I was trained as a woman, like always others, which
Yes.
is a lovely thing. It's something I value tremendously. And what Amy reminds me with the horse, and she did it again this morning, it is I am thinking of them, and I can ask them to think of me. Like we are
Yes.
partners. We are partners.
Yes.
This is what partners do. And
Exactly.
I love that reminder. I love that reminder. And that's something that little by little I want to incorporate in these beautiful ways that make such a difference to my horse. And to, I mean,
Yes.
they make such a difference. And it's not a dominating thing. It's a reinforcement to them. I hear you. I see you. Yes, I am here, and we are partners. There you go. So it's just lovely.
Yes.
I love that. If you were, and I don't know if you're ever in this situation where you have people who don't know horses, and you're taking them to your barn and introducing them to your horses. What do you think, if you had a chance to introduce people to horses who've never known horses, what are some things that you think you would say about to set that up, given your time with Amy and how she sees horses?
I was actually interviewed by a local, well, he's actually now a city councilman, but I was interviewed by him and his wife. They were doing interviews when COVID started. They were trying to get people to learn more about their neighbors. So they came out and interviewed me. And the first thing that I told them is, it's funny because the wife was scared to death. And my horses they're almost like people, really. So that might be scary to a person that is afraid of horses. So they're like, hey, how you doing? They're really friendly, and they all live in a herd. So the 5 of them come up at once, and that might be a little bit intimidating. But I told them before we were on camera, I told them, everything you know about horses, forget it.
Mhm.
Just forget it, because that's not what happens here. This, and people, I don't know, people don't understand. I don't think they understand when you treat horses kindly, they give that back to you. Sometimes they give it to you when you don't deserve it. Most of the time, actually. I mean, the majority of the time, horses are not treated kindly. Our horses are our family members, and I mean that with all of my heart. And I tell people that. I take that very seriously, and I take their care and their quality of life and everything that goes with it very seriously. So then I just have to, I have to tell them my story briefly and how I got to the different person that I am now with horses. And I think most people understand that once they see, you know. So I also told one of my friends that I used to work with a long time ago. She came out and she said, I've always been told to never stand directly behind a horse. And so I went and I stood right behind my horse and I put my arms around his butt. They said, you know what? You just have to let them know you're there before you don't scare them. Don't run up behind them. But, that's not really true either.
Mhm.
So many myths and legends out there.
There are so many myths and legends out there.
Yes.
Yes, there are. It's funny. That's another thing, though. I mean, there are so many myths and legends about the way you're supposed to be and not supposed to be, and yet it is also true that they are not humans, and that their world is a different world from the one that I live in, and
Yes.
and that growing that understanding, oh man, it is certainly what I'm passionate about, so that we can come together in kind of harmony.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you say, let me just pause a moment here. I mean, when you found Amy, that's it, like light bulb went on and there was nobody else. And you said sometimes with bodywork clients, although most of them are on the same page, occasionally maybe you'll meet someone who, might be open to, at a moment where other learning is available to them. What would you say about the way Amy teaches? Is there something, can you name how she is the way she is? I can't really, but
I've tried many times, actually. But I think what I would say is that it's hard to say this without sounding braggadocious, but I have a lot of experience. My whole life has been devoted to horses, and not just horses that you jump on and go for a trail ride and come back and put them away. Very challenging horses. So I think sometimes that carries a lot more weight. And most of the people that I work with understand that.
Mhm.
But I think one of the greatest things about Amy is that you can be in a class with 8, 9 other people, and she can just she treats every little herd, human and horse, first of all, as one herd, but then she teaches individually, and it's based on your relationship. And she sees everything,
She does.
things I've never thought of in like
Mhm.
where how you point your feet when you do a hindquarter disengagement. I would have never even like I was just running around doing crazy things without even thinking about it before Amy. I didn't know where my feet were. I was just walking. So
Yes.
so like that. That is one of, I think, her greatest gifts. I also think that Amy doesn't say a word that she hasn't thought about first. Me, I'm an open, the words just fall out of my mouth. I don't think about anything before I say it. They just come out of my mouth, and I'm okay with that. I kind of like that. But I also kind of like the self-control that Amy has. And you can see her thinking about what she's going to say, and I love the way that she never gets in a hurry about it. She has so much self-respect
Mhm.
that she won't say things she doesn't mean, you know and I tell people all the time, I honestly 100% believe that there is not another person in the world that could have helped me with cadet. Not another person.
Mhm.
Just and I'm serious, and I don't think there ever will be. I mean, I'm committed to
Mhm.
Amy and her teachings for as long as I live on this earth and as long as she'll have me.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
What did
mean
she
it.
Yeah, Tracy, that's really wonderful. Can you remember what she recognized in cadet, that some of the early things that changed it up for you?
She well, the first time she actually met him, I think that would have had to have been in 2020. She said, "Well, he sure has a lot to say." Yeah, sometimes it comes out in his feet. But she she never once, in front of me anyway, she never once mentioned what he had been through.
Yeah.
Him,
Mhm.
he was that day.
Mm.
And I, of course, noticed that, and that was very, very powerful for me.
Mm.
She also never, she never allowed me to feel like I couldn't do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, I think I think my original thought was, I'm gonna go there and she's gonna tell me what to do. She didn't.
Mhm.
She gives you the space to take in everything that she says and everything that she teaches. And then I'm a person that it won't settle until later. But when it settles, it settles. It's there and it's there forever. And she actually said that to me once. She said, you might be a little in your head right now, but I've already noticed that you take this in and you come back the next day and you've got it all. So don't put pressure on yourself,
Mhm.
which I always do. But so that was really powerful. But I think she also treats each human as an individual and recognizes where we are and where we are not and what we need. So I'm not even really sure that she addressed cadet that much in the early days.
Mhm.
Just this is funny because I just allowed her to play with Cadet for the first time in November, and I told her, I'm like, I didn't ever want anybody to touch this horse but me because it's, I want to take ownership for everything. And I don't know, like it was funny, but I told her that and I said, I've been putting this off forever, but I think I'm gonna let you play with them. And it was so funny because I almost couldn't watch. I mean, he's like my kid, I'm like, oh, and not that she would, obviously. I just didn't. What I told her after she played with him, I said, okay, now I'm going to tell you what my real fear was. And she said, what is it? And I said, my fear was that when you were finished, he was going to want to stay with you and not come back to me. That's what my fear was. Because I see that all the time with other people's horses. But if I take somebody's horse, they don't want to go back to the owner. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but you'll get there. You'll get there. So it was funny, but
Mhm.
she didn't really address him very much. But I think that's probably because she recognized what was happening with me. I think if I would have needed more help,
Yeah.
obviously I would have. She,
Yeah.
she knows what people need. She knows what they need.
Yeah.
And I think she knew that I wanted to kind of work it out myself.
Yeah, I admire that about her. I think I like what you say that she didn't really address him. I think most of the time what I perceive her doing is feeling of the horse. Most of the time she's gathering understanding, gathering feel,
Mhm.
and wow, I mean, and then that informs how she has to be for them. So, and I think
Yes.
I think most of the time that I've witnessed, she's able to do that without handling somebody's horse personally. But I do know that there are times when she's, she'll want to get a little feel of the horse herself to better understand what it is that is going on. But she's not out there fixing stuff. She's not out there
No.
training them.
No. Well, because that's, that's a really good point because you can't.
Right.
If you fix a horse, say as a trainer, and then you put it back in the owner's hands who doesn't have your skill,
Yeah.
it's the horse and human relationship,
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
that she
Do you
oh,
find that,
yeah, but go ahead.
no, you go, Tracy. Please go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I just wanted to clarify, when I said that she didn't address him, I'm sure she addressed him. I just didn't know it.
Oh. Oh,
That's all. Like I was just,
yes, right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I do understand that. Yeah, she was feeling of the horse, but the horses definitely feel her, no doubt. They obviously feel her.
yes.
Do you think that part of the reason why when you go to clients' horses and you spend time with them working your magic, do you think that's the reason why they don't want to go back to their owners, the power of the body work and the energy work that you're providing them? Do you think that's a part of it, or?
No, actually, I meant if I'm teaching.
Oh, if you're teaching,
If
okay,
if I'm
I see.
if I'm because I still teach
Oh,
too.
you
Yeah,
do?
I
Oh,
still teach.
wonderful.
I
Oh,
do. Yes.
wonderful. Oh, that's
I
great.
don't I don't actually do it on purpose, but I do it if people ask me to.
Right.
I'm much more into body work now, but if somebody wants help in it towards natural horsemanship, I'm gonna be there because if we can help all these humans, we're gonna help all these horses. So
Agree with that.
whenever I'm asked,
Yeah.
I do my best.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That is great. That is great. Is there anything else that you would like to share about your horses or your time with Amy or really anything that we haven't covered?
Um, that we haven't covered. I guess I just uh, Yeah, here's where the here's where the tears come in. I don't think I can express strongly enough how how much she's changed my life, um, and my husband's life and our horses' lives. And um, I think she might know a little bit, but I don't think she knows exactly how deep that goes and really how grateful we are to her. And it takes a lot of guts to step out and do something different. And she is so different. And she's the best at being different. She believes in what she says, she believes in what she does, and that is imparted through us right away. And I'm just extremely grateful. Like I said, there would have been, Cadet would have had a good life. He would have, but I would have always felt like I was not doing enough. And she has given me the power to know I am doing enough. I'm helping this horse, and it is obvious every single day of my life. And I also want to say that each one of the horses that I have rescued had a different purpose in their life to bring to my life. And I'm pretty sure Cadet's purpose was to align me with Amy. I really, really do. Because I never met a horse I couldn't help. And instead of saying, I can't help this horse, what am I going to do? I have this wonderful collection of friends from all over the world who know different people, and that's how I was introduced to Amy again. I mean, like I said, I knew her before, but we didn't really, I'd seen her, I didn't know her. So she has been a huge, huge gift to me and my husband. My husband is in Amy's courses too.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
This has been such a pleasure, Tracy. Such a pleasure. Thank you. I hope we get to meet
Absolutely.
sometime.
Oh, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will.
So, and I may reach out to you off recorded sessions to talk to you about the body work you do. I'm more and more intrigued by this as I've seen amazing results in my horse in the time I've spent here. So
Yes. Yes.
Yes. All the best to you. And thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure, honestly. I was very excited about this.
Yes.
So
Me also. All right. We'll talk again.
okay, thank you. Say hi to Amy for me, okay?
Will do. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.